Hi, welcome to the Shepherd's Rest Dog Talk. This is episode 98.
I'm Cam and this is Julie. This week's Torah Portion is actually my birthday's Torah Portion.
What?
Yeah, even though it's not near my birthday, but...
That was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, but...
It's done. It's over.
It's over. But I would have been Adar 2, the 8th of Adar, which makes this my birthday Torah Portion.
Very nice.
Yay. All right, so what are you going to do with that? Who knows? So,
Great piece of information.
Yeah.
So you're connected to this one
Yes.
in a special way.
I have no idea why. Just thought I'd tell you that. So anyway, moving on to the fun part is this week's Torah portion. We're going to cover from Leviticus 6, 7, and 8.
Okay.
And it's really going to be looking at kind of the priest's role in these sacrifices. Really, if you go from Leviticus 1 to the end of Leviticus 7, I say they go together well because it's all about the sacrifices and what they look like. You know, I think it's interesting.
Leviticus chapter 6, 7, and 8, right?
Is this week's.
Gotcha.
But that work together is 1 through 7 topic-wise.
Right.
Yeah. Last week we talked about how we, the people and individuals, function and what we can bring. And then this week really is showing how the priest function within that role of what's being brought. Because obviously we can do part of it, but we can't do all of it. We need the priest for that.
And I bet we can take a lot away from it because we, like Peter says, are like priests to the nations right now. We're in our priestly role. So I bet spiritually, while we're not physical priests, we can take a lot away from the lessons we're going to learn here.
Absolutely.
I would imagine.
You know, really, I wanted to start this week, I guess, on a bigger scale and pull back from the actual offerings and sacrifices. You know, I read from the scriptures version of the Bible, and you don't see the word sacrifices very much in this whole part. You see offerings. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you go to King James, and it's sacrifice. Nothing's an offering. It's just all sacrifice. Which
it's all a chore.
Yes, that's what's so interesting. I'm reading this, and I'm going, it's an offering, and you give, you know, it's the sin offering, which is more like a purification offering, so you can be right to come before Him, and all these things are because you want to give Him. The burnt offering, because you want to.
Right.
Yet, you go to this other, like she said, it has to, sacrifice. When we hear the word sacrifice, we think of this bloody, ugly, bloodthirsty God that we have to just take it, you know?
Yeah.
But that's not the picture being painted here. That's the Greek mindset we have that says, oh, that must be what he means because God today, I mean, Jesus doesn't want blood sacrifices. Yeah. He was it. And I say that, you know, not begrudgingly, but tongue-in-cheek. Yes, thank you. Because this is a law forever. We see that a few times, and this is a law forever. Because, you know why? This is a law forever because it's not going to end because this is not to be a sacrifice like we think of when we think of the guy who's, I don't know, some occultic thing. That's not how this works. All the things we're seeing here are types and shadows of what are to come. Thank you, Colossians, right?
Right.
What's going to come. Not what's already gone, but what's going to come. In the feast, you know, we talk about the feast that we do these things because they're type and shadow of what's going to come. Fine. With each one of those, there are offerings that complete that.
Right.
We are like they were when Israel was taken out and taken to Babylon. They were without the temple. We're in that same position.
Which is why we don't have sacrifices.
Right. Only reason why we don't have them is because we don't have the place to do them. You cannot go do them in your backyard, okay? We don't have the right people involved. You don't have a priest. Even if you had all the people involved, a high priest, the priest, and then, you know, us, right?
The people bringing.
Yeah. You still can't do it because you don't have the place. Because the temple or the tabernacle at this point is meant to be a shadow of the heavenly. It's meant to be where the heavenly and the earthly meet. The cloud of the Lord meets with the cloud of the high priest representing us. One time a year, Yom Kippur, right?
So it's not until we're in the heavenlies that we won't need the sacrifices.
Right. That is the only place that Yeshua's blood was one time.
Yes.
When it says in Hebrews that the blood of bulls and goats couldn't take away What it couldn't do, right, it couldn't do the consciousness. You know,
it couldn't allow us into New Jerusalem.
Right, exactly. It couldn't allow us into the heavenlies. It couldn't clear our conscience. It speaks of that all through the Brit Hadashah, this weird thing Paul brings up about the consciousness. He clears the consciousness. That was never able to be done with the blood of bulls and goats. That was never able to be done with what's established here. But you know what? That was never supposed to be done with what was established here. That was only to be done through Messiah. He's the heavenly, this is the earthly. They do not exchange each other. Right. They never were meant to. The problem is we've gone through religiosity that says sacrifices are bad, and then we just watch something that happens in some little country in South Africa. You know, they cut up something and do a dance. And see, that's a sacrifice. And then we try to equate that to what used to happen in the Word of God. And that is not a shadow of the heavenly.
Right.
This is.
It's a perversion of the heavenly.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's all we have. See how important it is to have the sacrificial system so we can understand the heavenly?
Right. We don't even know what the shadow... Okay, so because we don't have the shadow, which is the temple here on earth, we cannot get even a clearer picture of what it is in the heavenlies. Because
so we've made it up.
Right. If you have a cloudy day, okay, it's hard to get a really good idea of what that hand looks like in the shadow. Mm-hmm. But once that sun comes out, once you have it, you can now see a really good, when the right light shines on the object, you get a really good shadow of what it looks like. Mm. We're waiting for that cloud to be removed so that the bright sun can shine on the actual thing, which is the heavenlies, so we can see it here on earth. That's what we're waiting for. Until then, we are responsible for learning these things and understanding them and doing what we can. Now, praises of our lips, absolutely important. That's all we got right now, man. Let's hang on to what we got.
Right, right.
But we want to do them the way he asked. What we have today with the praise and the worship, it's great. But let's put that in the context in which it started. And that was all around these sacrificial or offerings, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to use offerings because I like that word better, okay? It's English. I get to play with it. I'm using offerings.
Okay.
When we do the offerings, there was music, the Levites. I mean, it was a huge event all day long. It was beautiful. And it was always during the day, in the light. Can we just talk about the light?
Yes.
In the light is when we had the morning and the evening, which is around 3 o'clock, okay? So basically, it's open for business between 9 and 3. There's
6 hours.
There you go. There is your morning offering, your first continual lamb, and the bread. And then the afternoon is the second offering, the lamb and the bread. Meat, bread, right? You know. Mm-hmm. So both of them, and everything else is in between. That's when your business. There was a specific time in which you could come. If you decide at 9 o'clock at night, I want to come, well, you wait till the next day. You don't just get to bring that offering.
Gotcha.
See, we want to control our time and say I can do it whenever I want to. But the truth is, he's never relinquished that to say do whatever you want whenever you want to. We have to be very careful with this. Well, I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. And that means whatever I want to because he strengthened me to do it. That's not true. All right? He's not strengthening me to go do something against his word.
Right.
He's not going to do that. So when we are involved in worship, we should be involved wholeheartedly and when and how he wants it done. And I would say our worship today looks nothing like it used to because we refuse to look at how he had it designed.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Used to, there was a vested interest in worship. You had to bring your item. Mm-hmm. You had to kill your item.
Yeah.
You had to put your hands on it. Wrong order. Put your hands on it. Kill it. Present it to the priest. And the priest did just the part that we couldn't do. That's all. Only what he was supposed to do. Now let's back it up and look at the idea of Yeshua. If that's the case, and Yeshua is our high priest, how much responsibility did Yeshua take for how we walk? Not much. Right? Because if you look at the role of the high priest, they prepared the offering, well, the continual offering. That's their role.
Okay.
They take the sin offering for the congregation on Yom Kippur. The things that we cannot do.
Right,
but
right.
anything that we can do, they didn't do. Yes.
Okay, so I'm thinking now.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, you're right. So if our bodies are a living sacrifice, right, then that means we have to die to our flesh. We have to bring it before the high priest, bring it to Yeshua. We have to kill it, die to our flesh, and then we have to walk in obedience, because the sacrifices were only because I'm walking in obedience.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So all those things, did Jesus do any of those for you?
No. Those are all things that I have to do myself.
He didn't do any of those because he can't. Because he said, I made the path, I made the way, I'm going to be here, so when you bring it to me, I can go, ha, got you covered.
Now again, in the heavenlies, he did.
Yes, because we can't even approach there to bring it there.
But first you got to do the shadow here. You have to you have to correctly do the shadow here before you can go into the heavenlies.
It's a rehearsal.
It's a rehearsal.
This rehearsal is for the entry to where it really counts later.
Right.
Exactly.
This is boot camp.
So with all those thoughts of understanding that we have an active role.
Right.
The Talmud says that one who studies the sacrifices are credited as if they have done them.
Yes.
So, hey, we're in a position that we can't physically do them, but we are not in a position that we can't physically study them.
Yeah. Isn't that funny how the roles have reversed? Because back then, they weren't in a position to sit and study. They didn't have Bibles all the time.
Yes.
So, but they actively did them.
Yes.
But now we have the active word and the living word inside of us, so we can actively study them as if we were doing them.
Right. God, I love that, because he literally gives us an opportunity no matter what end you're on.
Right.
Everyone gets an opportunity. That's cool. A closing note I want to throw in from last week, from Leviticus 4:3 on. It talks about the high priest, if he sins against, if he sins, and it brings, I guess, problems, or however it says it, against the people.
Yes.
And it goes
causes
through,
the people to sin.
Yes. And it goes through, what he's supposed to do. It's all great. And you go through the whole rest of 4, and it's what everyone else that they have sin offerings with. And each one says that, and their sins are forgiven. Okay? Except for the high priest. It doesn't say this. It doesn't say this. And I'm like, why not? Ooh, of all people. He should.
I know.
But then, what you got?
Because it represents Yeshua.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the reason why is because Yeshua, in all his other things that he fulfilled, by fulfilling the high priest role, not on earth but in heavenlies, okay, by bringing the sin that created a problem for everyone else. It wasn't his sin, but he brought their sin that created a problem for everybody else, which goes back to Adam. That's the one, okay? Right. When he brought that death, that Adam's problem, okay, who was
Adam's issue.
Adam was Adam's issue, right? And he was a high priest. Adam was, okay. When he brings that, there was no need to say forgiveness, because the one that was to represent didn't have sin,
right?
But through him, everyone else gets to have sins forgiven.
Right.
So I just saw that and I was
that's
like,
cool.
"Ooh, that's interesting."
It is.
As always, there's a reason why. Always.
That's right.
And we also see, one more thing I don't know. We also see where Rabbi Foreman said the coolest thing.
Okay.
He said that one of the reasons why, at the beginning of the ceremony that we see in chapter 8, we're going to talk about that more next week, is that it has to be. Well, Moses basically sanctifies, okay, the sin offering, but nothing's happened. Why are you cleansing the altar when nothing's happened yet?
Okay.
It actually goes back to, because this is bringing down the heavenly again. This is connecting basically the Garden of Eden idea.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Because Adam's sin, Adam corrupted the altar in the garden idea, that it had to be...
It's what it represents.
Yeah, it has to be.
It has to be cleansed.
Yeah, I just thought that was really cool. I was like, "Oh, I never thought about that."
Right.
Yeah.
Because
some of y'all are like, "That's old
again,
news."
it's always because it represents something.
Right. Absolutely, it's a part of the puzzle, trying to figure out where all the pieces go.
Yes.
So we're so glad you joined us as we did our puzzle piece and putting together thing.
Right. It's the glory of God to conceal a matter and the honor of kings to search it out.
Amen.
That's what we're doing. We're searching it out.
Yes, and we're so glad you're with us.
Yes.
So, on that note, we will end. We thank you so much for being with us. We will see you on the other side with Julie and the prophets. Shalom.
Hi, welcome to the Shepherd's Rest Doc Talk. This ding. Planes. Where's the train?
That's right. Amco. AA.
You know what that means? This is going to be a really good Doc Talk.
Wow.